My husband's massage therapist called me during dinner and announced, "Pack his bags, he's moving in with me." I calmly set down my fork, smiled at my confused family, and replied, "Actually, his bags are already packed. They're in the garage next to the divorce papers and the private investigator's report." What she didn't know was that I had been preparing for this moment for 3 months, and her phone call had just triggered the most empowering transformation of my entire life. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. 6 months earlier, my life appeared to embody everything that successful professional women are told they should aspire to achieve. At 34, I served as the regional marketing director for a Fortune 500 technology company, managing a team of 12 professionals across 4 states while consistently exceeding performance targets that had challenged my predecessors. My career trajectory suggested inevitable promotion to the executive level within the next 2 years, complete with the accompanying salary increase and stock options that would secure our family's financial future. My husband Michael and I had been married for 8 years, a partnership that began during our graduate school programs at Northwestern University. He had completed his MBA in finance while I pursued my master's degree in marketing strategy, and we had built what appeared to be a complementary professional and personal relationship. Michael worked as a senior financial analyst for a prominent investment firm, bringing home a substantial salary that combined with mine to provide the comfortable lifestyle we had envisioned during our early years together. We owned a beautiful colonial home in Westfield, an affluent suburb of Chicago known for its excellent schools and family-friendly community atmosphere. The house featured 4 bedrooms, a finished basement that Michael had converted into his home office, and a backyard large enough for the children we had always planned to have someday. Our neighborhood consisted primarily of dual-career couples like ourselves, professionals who had successfully balanced demanding careers with family commitments. Our social circle reflected our professional success and shared values. Weekend gatherings typically involved dinner parties with colleagues and neighbors, conversations that revolved around career advancement, real estate investments, and vacation planning. We belonged to the local country club, where Michael played golf with clients and business associates, while I participated in the women's professional networking group that met monthly for lunch and career development discussions. From external appearances, we had achieved the American dream that ambitious young professionals pursue with determination and strategic planning. Our combined income placed us comfortably in the upper middle class bracket. Our retirement accounts grew steadily through consistent contributions and sound investment choices. We drove late-model luxury vehicles that reflected our professional status while maintaining practical reliability for our busy schedules. However, beneath the surface of this apparently successful life, subtle changes had been occurring that I initially attributed to the natural evolution of a mature marriage and demanding careers. Michael had begun working longer hours, frequently remaining at the office until well past 7 o'clock, and often bringing work home that required his attention during evenings and weekends. When I inquired about his increased workload, he explained that his firm was pursuing several major client acquisitions that demanded extensive financial analysis and presentation preparation. His communication patterns gradually shifted in ways that seemed minor but accumulated into a noticeable difference in our daily interactions. Where he had previously shared details about his workday, client meetings, and office dynamics, he became increasingly vague about his professional activities. Conversations that had once included specific information about projects and colleagues became general statements about being busy with client work or having productive meetings without elaborating on the actual content or outcomes. Michael's physical presence at home also began to change in subtle but measurable ways. He started spending more time in his basement office, claiming that he needed quieter space to concentrate on complex financial models and client reports. Evening conversations that had previously occurred naturally in our living room or kitchen began requiring deliberate initiation on my part, and even then, his responses often seemed distracted or abbreviated. His smartphone usage increased dramatically during the months leading up to the revelation that would ultimately transform our marriage and my understanding of the relationship I thought we shared. Previously, Michael had used his phone primarily for work-related calls and emails, with occasional personal communications that he handled openly in my presence. However, he began carrying his phone with him constantly, including to the bathroom and even while moving between rooms in our house. The most significant change involved his introduction of what he described as therapeutic massage treatments for chronic lower back pain, that he claimed was resulting from long hours spent sitting at his desk analyzing financial data. Michael had never previously complained about back pain or sought any form of physical therapy, so this development initially seemed like a reasonable response to the physical demands of his increasingly sedentary work routine. Michael's explanation for beginning regular massage therapy sessions seemed completely logical and demonstrated what appeared to be mature attention to his physical health and long-term wellness. He described consulting with his physician about persistent lower back discomfort and receiving a recommendation to seek professional massage therapy as a non-pharmaceutical approach to pain management and muscle tension relief. The massage therapist he selected was named Harmony Rivers, a name that should have triggered more skepticism than it initially did. Michael described her as a licensed therapeutic massage specialist who operated a small private practice from a wellness center located approximately 20 minutes from his downtown office. He explained that her schedule could accommodate his work commitments by offering appointments during lunch hours and early evening slots that would not interfere with his client responsibilities. Initially, Michael scheduled massage appointments once weekly, typically on Thursday afternoons, when his workload was supposedly lighter, and he could extend his lunch break to accommodate the session and travel time. He would return home those evenings appearing relaxed and claiming that the treatment was providing significant relief from the tension and discomfort that had been affecting his productivity and sleep quality. The frequency of these appointments gradually increased over the course of several weeks. Michael began scheduling twice-weekly sessions, explaining that Harmony had recommended more intensive treatment to address what she had diagnosed as chronic muscle tension patterns that required consistent intervention to achieve lasting improvement. He claimed that the increased frequency was a temporary measure that would eventually be reduced to monthly maintenance sessions once his condition improved. Within 2 months, Michael was visiting Harmony's practice 3 times per week, a schedule that seemed excessive for addressing simple back pain, but which he justified through increasingly detailed explanations about the complexity of his condition and the specialized techniques required for effective treatment. He began using terminology related to muscle groups, trigger points, and therapeutic modalities that suggested he was receiving education about massage therapy that went far beyond what most clients would typically acquire. My professional background in marketing had trained me to analyze patterns, inconsistencies, and behavioral changes that might indicate shifts in consumer preferences or market dynamics. These analytical skills, which served me well in identifying emerging trends and competitive threats in business contexts, gradually began focusing on the changes I was observing in my husband's behavior and explanations. The first concrete indication that something more complex was occurring came through our shared credit card statements, which I reviewed monthly as part of our household financial management routine. The charges for massage therapy sessions appeared regularly and consistently, but the amounts seemed higher than I would have expected for standard therapeutic treatments. Additionally, some charges occurred on days when Michael had not mentioned having appointments, suggesting either poor communication or deliberate concealment of his schedule. More concerning was the emergence of additional charges at restaurants and retail establishments located near Harmony's wellness center. Purchases that occurred on the same days as his massage appointments, but which seemed inconsistent with simple therapeutic sessions. These charges suggested extended periods spent in the area, possibly including meals or shopping that would not be necessary for straightforward medical treatment. Michael's explanations for these additional expenses were plausible, but felt rehearsed in a way that triggered my professional instincts about prepared messaging versus spontaneous communication. He claimed that traffic patterns sometimes required him to wait between his massage appointment and returning to the office, during which time he would grab lunch or browse nearby shops. However, the frequency and timing of these purchases suggested a pattern more consistent with leisurely social activities than practical time management. His emotional state on massage therapy days also began following a predictable pattern that seemed inconsistent with purely therapeutic treatments. While he initially returned home relaxed and refreshed after sessions, he gradually began displaying what could only be described as excitement or anticipation on the mornings when appointments were scheduled. This emotional pattern seemed more consistent with anticipating a pleasurable social activity than with receiving medical treatment for pain management. The accumulation of inconsistencies and behavioral changes eventually reached a threshold that required either direct confrontation with Michael or independent investigation to determine the actual nature of his relationship with Harmony Rivers. My professional experience had taught me that successful problem-solving requires comprehensive information gathering before implementing solutions, and I recognized that emotional confrontation without factual foundation could destroy any possibility of discovering the truth. I made the decision to engage a private investigator, a choice that felt simultaneously necessary and deeply troubling. The process of hiring someone to investigate my own husband represented a fundamental shift in how I understood our marriage and my role within it. However, my professional training in risk assessment and strategic planning convinced me that informed decision-making required accurate information about the actual situation, rather than assumptions based on limited observations. The private investigator I selected was recommended by a colleague who had used similar services during a corporate fraud investigation. Sarah Chen operated a discreet investigative practice that specialized in both corporate and personal matters, with particular expertise in surveillance and documentation that could withstand legal scrutiny if necessary. Her professional approach and clear communication about processes and limitations provided reassurance that the investigation would be conducted ethically and thoroughly. Sarah's initial consultation involved detailed discussion about my observations, concerns, and objectives for the investigation. She explained that typical cases of suspected infidelity could usually be documented within 2 to 4 weeks through strategic surveillance and background research. She also discussed the potential emotional impact of discovering information that confirmed suspicions, ensuring that I understood the psychological preparation required for receiving potentially devastating news about my marriage. The surveillance phase of the investigation began immediately and produced results far more quickly than either Sarah or I had anticipated. Within the first week, photographic evidence confirmed that Michael's relationship with Harmony Rivers extended far beyond professional massage therapy services. The images documented them leaving her wellness center together and spending hours at restaurants, shopping centers, and ultimately at what appeared to be a residential location. More damaging evidence emerged through Sarah's research into Harmony's background and business practices. Public records revealed that she had been involved in 2 previous situations where massage therapy relationships had evolved into personal relationships that resulted in the dissolution of clients' marriages. This pattern suggested that her professional practice included deliberate targeting of married male clients for relationship development, rather than focusing primarily on legitimate therapeutic services. The financial investigation component revealed that Michael had been spending significantly more money than the credit card charges I had observed indicated. He had opened a separate credit account that he was using to fund additional activities with Harmony, including weekend trips to nearby resort areas and expensive gift purchases that were completely inconsistent with a professional service relationship. Most conclusively, Sarah's surveillance documented that Michael and Harmony were behaving as a romantic couple in public settings, including physical affection and intimate conversations that clearly indicated a sexual relationship had developed alongside or instead of any therapeutic services. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable, providing absolute confirmation that my suspicions were based on accurate observations rather than unfounded jealousy or insecurity. Rather than immediately confronting Michael with the evidence of his infidelity, I made the strategic decision to use the time remaining before inevitable discovery to prepare comprehensively for the legal, financial, and personal consequences of divorce proceedings. My professional background in project management and strategic planning proved invaluable in approaching this personal crisis with the same systematic methodology I would apply to complex business challenges. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. The first priority involved securing independent legal representation from an attorney who specialized in divorce cases involving significant financial assets and professional careers. The lawyer I selected, Patricia Hendricks, had extensive experience with cases involving infidelity and hidden financial activities, providing expertise in asset protection and evidence preservation that would be crucial for achieving favorable outcomes in divorce proceedings. Financial preparation required careful documentation of all marital assets, including retirement accounts, investment portfolios, real estate holdings, and personal property of significant value. I discreetly gathered account statements, property deeds, insurance policies, and other financial documents that would be necessary for accurate asset division. Additionally, I opened separate banking accounts and began accumulating resources that would provide financial independence during the transition period. Career protection became another crucial consideration, as I recognized that personal turmoil could potentially impact my professional performance and advancement opportunities. I informed my immediate supervisor about potential upcoming personal challenges that might require flexible scheduling or temporary reduced travel commitments, without providing specific details about the marital situation. This proactive communication ensured that my employer would be prepared to provide support, rather than viewing any performance changes as professional deficiencies. The psychological preparation for ending an 8-year marriage required developing support systems and coping strategies that would sustain me through the emotional challenges of divorce proceedings and the subsequent rebuilding of my personal life. I began working with a therapist who specialized in relationship transitions and trauma recovery, providing professional guidance for processing the betrayal and developing healthy strategies for moving forward. Building a support network among friends and family members required careful consideration about timing and information sharing. I selected a small group of trusted individuals who could provide emotional support and practical assistance during the transition period, while maintaining discretion about the investigation and evidence gathering that was occurring simultaneously. Physical and emotional self-care became priorities that I had previously neglected during my focus on career advancement and marital maintenance. I began exercising regularly, improved my nutrition habits, and invested time in personal interests and activities that would provide fulfillment independent of my relationship status. This preparation was designed to ensure that I would emerge from the divorce process stronger and more self-reliant, rather than devastated and dependent. During the final weeks before the confrontation that I knew was inevitable, additional evidence continued accumulating that confirmed not only the extent of Michael's infidelity, but also his apparent intention to formalize his relationship with Harmony. Sarah's surveillance revealed that they had begun looking at apartment rentals together, suggesting plans for cohabitation that would require ending our marriage in the immediate future. Financial monitoring showed that Michael's spending on Harmony continued escalating, including what appeared to be deposits on rental properties and purchases of household items that suggested preparation for establishing a shared residence. These activities indicated that their relationship had progressed beyond casual infidelity to serious commitment and future planning. Most importantly, recorded conversations that Sarah had legally obtained provided evidence that Harmony and Michael were actively discussing the timeline and method for ending our marriage so that they could begin their new life together. These conversations revealed that they viewed me as an obstacle to be managed, rather than a person deserving of honesty and respect, demonstrating the complete absence of remorse or consideration for the impact of their choices on my well-being. The stage was completely set for the confrontation that would transform the apparent devastation of betrayal into the empowering beginning of a new chapter in my life. Everything was in place for me to emerge from this situation not as a victim of deception, but as a woman who had taken control of her circumstances and prepared strategically for her own success and independence. As I sat at our dining room table that evening, sharing what I knew would be our final family dinner, I felt a sense of calm determination rather than the devastation that Michael and Harmony were expecting their revelation to produce. The phone call that was about to change everything was not the beginning of my story, but rather the culmination of months of careful preparation and strategic planning. The evidence was comprehensive, the legal preparation was complete, and my emotional readiness had been carefully developed through professional support and personal reflection. I was not the same woman who had noticed subtle changes in her husband's behavior months earlier. I had become someone who understood her own worth and had the tools necessary to protect her interests and create a better future. The phone was about to ring, and I was ready. The woman who would eventually respond to Harmony Rivers' audacious phone call with calm determination had not always possessed the strategic thinking and emotional resilience that would serve her so well during this crisis. Like many successful professionals, I had developed these capabilities through a combination of deliberate education, challenging work experiences, and personal circumstances that demanded growth beyond my initial comfort zone. My journey toward self-reliance began during my undergraduate years at the University of Michigan, where I had enrolled as a communications major with vague aspirations of working in media or public relations. The choice reflected the limited career guidance available to me as a first-generation college student, whose parents had worked in manufacturing and retail throughout their professional lives. While they provided unwavering emotional support for my educational pursuits, they lacked the professional network and industry knowledge that would have helped me understand the strategic career planning required for long-term success. The transformation from uncertain undergraduate to confident professional began during my junior year, when I enrolled in a marketing strategy course taught by Professor Elizabeth Hartwell, a former corporate executive who had transitioned to academia after 20 years in consumer goods marketing. Professor Hartwell's approach to education emphasized practical application of theoretical concepts, requiring students to develop comprehensive marketing plans for real companies facing actual business challenges. Working on these projects revealed capabilities I had not previously recognized in myself. The analytical thinking required for market research, the creative problem-solving necessary for developing innovative campaigns, and the strategic planning involved in coordinating multiple project components aligned perfectly with my natural strengths and interests. More importantly, the experience demonstrated that I possessed the intellectual capacity and work ethic necessary for competing successfully in demanding professional environments. Professor Hartwell became the first mentor who encouraged me to consider graduate education and provided guidance about positioning myself for acceptance into competitive MBA programs. Her recommendation letter and ongoing career advice proved instrumental in my acceptance to Northwestern University's marketing program, where I would eventually meet Michael and begin building the life that was now requiring complete reconstruction. Graduate school at Northwestern provided the advanced education and professional networking opportunities that transformed my career trajectory from uncertain potential to focused ambition. The program's emphasis on case study analysis and strategic decision-making developed analytical skills that would prove valuable not only in business contexts, but also in navigating complex personal situations that required careful planning and systematic thinking. Meeting Michael during my second semester represented what appeared to be perfect timing and compatibility. He was completing his MBA in finance while I pursued marketing strategy, creating what seemed like complementary career paths that would support mutual professional advancement. Our relationship developed through study groups and academic projects that demonstrated intellectual compatibility and shared values regarding career success and financial stability. Michael's background differed significantly from mine in ways that initially seemed advantageous for our partnership. His family owned a small but profitable accounting firm that had provided him with exposure to business operations and financial management from an early age. Unlike my first-generation college experience, he had grown up understanding professional expectations and networking strategies that would facilitate career advancement in corporate environments. His confidence and social ease in professional settings complemented my analytical strengths and detail-oriented approach to project management. During graduate school presentations and networking events, we functioned effectively as a team, with Michael handling initial relationship building, while I provided the substantive analysis and strategic thinking that impressed faculty members and potential employers. The decision to marry immediately after graduation reflected both emotional attachment and strategic career planning. We had both received job offers in the Chicago area, enabling us to begin our careers while maintaining the partnership we had developed during our academic program. The timing seemed optimal for combining personal happiness with professional advancement in ways that would benefit both of our long-term objectives. My early career development at Meridian Technologies provided the foundation for the strategic thinking and leadership capabilities that would eventually enable me to navigate the crisis in my marriage with systematic planning rather than emotional reaction. The company's collaborative culture and emphasis on data-driven decision-making aligned perfectly with my educational background and natural analytical approach to problem-solving. Starting as a junior marketing analyst, I was assigned to projects that required comprehensive market research, competitive analysis, and strategic recommendation development. The work demanded attention to detail, creative thinking, and the ability to synthesize complex information into actionable business plans. These responsibilities gradually expanded as my supervisors recognized my capacity for managing multiple projects simultaneously while maintaining quality standards and meeting aggressive deadlines. The promotion to marketing specialist after 18 months reflected not only strong performance but also my willingness to take initiative on challenging projects that other team members preferred to avoid. Leading the launch campaign for Meridian's new enterprise software platform required coordinating activities across multiple departments, managing external vendor relationships, and presenting results to senior executives who demanded clear evidence of return on investment. This experience taught me the importance of thorough preparation, systematic documentation, and strategic communication in achieving successful outcomes when working with demanding stakeholders. The skills I developed for managing complex projects with multiple variables and competing priorities would later prove essential for conducting the investigation of Michael's infidelity while maintaining professional performance and emotional stability. Advancement to senior marketing specialist and eventually to regional marketing director required developing capabilities beyond individual project management. Leading a team of professionals across multiple geographic locations demanded skills in delegation, performance management, and strategic planning that challenged me to grow beyond my natural preference for hands-on control of detailed activities. Learning to trust team members with significant responsibilities while maintaining accountability for overall results required developing new approaches to communication, monitoring, and relationship management. These leadership experiences taught me the value of building strong professional relationships based on mutual respect and clear expectations, qualities that would become crucial during the personal crisis that tested every aspect of my character and capabilities. Professional success and leadership responsibilities provided perspective that enabled me to recognize patterns in my marriage that I had previously attributed to normal relationship evolution. The analytical skills I applied successfully in business contexts gradually began revealing inconsistencies and changes in Michael's behavior that suggested developments beyond the natural progression of a maturing marriage. The realization that I was unconsciously applying different standards of evidence and accountability to my personal relationship than I demanded in professional situations represented a significant moment of self-awareness. In business contexts, I insisted on comprehensive data, verified information, and clear documentation before making strategic decisions. However, in my marriage, I had been accepting vague explanations and inconsistent information without the thorough investigation that such discrepancies would have triggered in any work-related situation. This recognition initiated a deliberate decision to approach my personal concerns with the same systematic methodology that had proven successful throughout my career advancement. Rather than continuing to dismiss inconsistencies as normal relationship challenges, I began documenting observations and analyzing patterns with the same rigor I would apply to evaluating market trends or competitive threats. The decision to treat my marriage concerns as a strategic challenge requiring careful analysis rather than an emotional problem demanding immediate confrontation reflected both professional training and personal growth toward emotional maturity. Understanding that accurate information would be essential for making sound decisions about my future enabled me to control emotional reactions that could have compromised my ability to gather evidence and plan strategically. This analytical approach also revealed the extent to which I had been unconsciously accommodating changes in our relationship dynamic that reflected decreasing mutual respect and consideration. Michael's increasing secrecy and emotional distance represented a pattern of behavior that I would never have tolerated from colleagues or business partners. Yet I had been rationalizing these changes as temporary stress responses rather than recognizing them as indicators of fundamental problems in our marriage. Applying professional analysis methods to my personal situation required developing a systematic approach for gathering information while maintaining normal daily routines that would not alert Michael to my growing suspicions. The methodology I developed combined discrete observation, financial analysis, and behavioral pattern recognition to create a comprehensive understanding of the actual situation versus the explanations I was receiving. The financial analysis component involved careful review of credit card statements, bank account activities, and expense patterns that could provide objective evidence of changes in Michael's spending habits and time allocation. This review revealed not only the direct costs of his massage therapy sessions, but also additional expenses that suggested extended time periods away from work and our home that were inconsistent with his stated activities. Behavioral pattern analysis required systematic documentation of changes in Michael's communication style, emotional responses, and daily routines. I began maintaining detailed notes about his explanations for schedule changes, his reactions to questions about his activities, and the consistency between his stated plans and actual behavior. This documentation revealed a pattern of increasing evasiveness and defensive responses that suggested deliberate concealment rather than innocent privacy. The technology analysis involved monitoring changes in his smartphone usage patterns, social media activities, and computer behavior that could indicate new relationships or activities that he was not sharing with me. While I respected appropriate boundaries regarding personal privacy, the dramatic changes in his technology habits provided additional evidence that significant developments were occurring without my knowledge. Combining these analytical approaches created a comprehensive picture that made Michael's infidelity increasingly obvious, while providing the objective evidence base that would be necessary for making informed decisions about our marriage. The systematic documentation also served an important emotional function by validating my concerns and demonstrating that my suspicions were based on observable facts rather than unfounded jealousy or insecurity. Recognizing that I would need professional assistance for both investigation and legal preparation, I activated my business network to identify appropriate resources without revealing the specific details of my personal situation. The professional relationships I had developed throughout my career advancement provided access to expertise and services that would be crucial for protecting my interests and documenting the evidence necessary for favorable divorce proceedings. The recommendation for Sarah Chen's investigative services came through a colleague who had utilized similar professional assistance during a corporate fraud investigation. This connection provided confidence that the investigation would be conducted with the discretion and thoroughness necessary for gathering legally admissible evidence while maintaining confidentiality about my personal circumstances. Legal representation required identification of an attorney with specific expertise in complex divorce cases involving professional careers and significant financial assets. Research into potential candidates focused on finding someone with demonstrated success in cases involving infidelity and hidden financial activities, ensuring that my interests would be protected throughout the legal process. Financial planning assistance became necessary for understanding the implications of asset division and developing strategies for maintaining financial independence during and after divorce proceedings. My professional network included financial advisors who could provide guidance about protecting retirement accounts, investment portfolios, and other assets that represented years of careful savings and strategic planning. The process of assembling this professional support team reinforced my confidence in my ability to navigate this personal crisis successfully. Having access to experienced professionals who could provide objective advice and strategic guidance enabled me to approach the situation as a manageable challenge rather than an overwhelming personal disaster. Professional preparation represented only one component of the comprehensive approach I developed for managing this crisis. Emotional preparation required deliberate attention to psychological resilience and support network development that would sustain me through the challenging months ahead. The decision to begin working with a therapist reflected recognition that professional counseling would provide tools and perspectives that I could not develop independently. Dr. Jennifer Morrison specialized in relationship transitions and trauma recovery, providing expertise in processing betrayal while maintaining focus on future planning rather than dwelling on past disappointments. Therapy sessions focused on developing coping strategies for managing stress and emotional volatility while maintaining professional performance and personal decision-making capabilities. Dr. Morrison's approach emphasized practical skill development rather than extensive analysis of relationship history, recognizing that I needed tools for moving forward rather than explanations for past difficulties. Building an appropriate support network among friends and family members required careful consideration about timing and information sharing. I identified individuals who could provide emotional support and practical assistance, while maintaining discretion about the investigation and evidence gathering that was occurring simultaneously. The support network included my sister Rachel, who lived in a nearby suburb and could provide immediate assistance if necessary, and my closest friend from graduate school, Amanda, who had experienced divorce several years earlier and could offer practical guidance about the legal and emotional challenges I would face. Physical self-care became a priority that I had previously neglected during my focus on career advancement and marriage maintenance. Regular exercise provided stress relief and improved energy levels that were essential for managing the additional demands of investigation and preparation activities alongside my normal professional responsibilities. Nutritional improvement and sleep quality enhancement became crucial components of maintaining physical health during a period of significant emotional stress. These changes required deliberate planning and schedule management, but provided essential foundation for sustained performance under pressure. The months of preparation and investigation created personal transformation that extended far beyond the immediate crisis management requirements. Developing strategic thinking capabilities for personal situations, building professional support networks, and enhancing emotional resilience resulted in increased self-confidence and independence that represented permanent positive changes rather than temporary coping mechanisms. This transformation enabled me to recognize that the end of my marriage could represent opportunity for personal growth and improved life satisfaction rather than simply loss and disappointment. Understanding my own capabilities for managing complex challenges independently provided confidence that I could create a fulfilling life, regardless of whether Michael chose to repair our relationship or continue his involvement with Harmony Rivers. The systematic approach I had developed for gathering evidence and preparing for legal proceedings demonstrated capabilities that I had not previously recognized in myself. Managing multiple complex activities simultaneously while maintaining professional performance and emotional stability revealed strengths that would serve me well in future personal and professional challenges. Recognition of these capabilities fundamentally changed my perspective on the crisis I was facing. Rather than viewing myself as a victim of betrayal, I began understanding the situation as a test of character and competence that I was successfully managing through careful planning and strategic thinking. This shift in perspective prepared me emotionally for the confrontation that I knew was inevitable. When Harmony Rivers eventually made her dramatic phone call, I would be ready to respond not as a devastated wife begging for explanations, but as a strong woman who had already taken control of her circumstances and prepared comprehensively for her future independence and success. The foundation had been established for transformation from apparent victim to empowered individual, who would emerge from this crisis stronger and more self-reliant than ever before. The transition from vague suspicions to concrete investigation required implementing the same methodical approach that had driven my professional success in complex marketing analysis projects. Understanding that emotional reactions could compromise my ability to gather accurate information, I developed a systematic framework for documenting observations while maintaining normal daily routines that would not alert Michael to my growing awareness of his deceptive behavior. The documentation system I established involved maintaining detailed records of discrepancies between Michael's stated activities and observable evidence, patterns in his communication and behavior changes, and financial expenditures that seemed inconsistent with his explanations. This approach provided objective data that would either validate my concerns or demonstrate that my suspicions were unfounded, ensuring that any decisions about our marriage would be based on facts rather than emotional assumptions. Creating this documentation required establishing secure methods for recording information that Michael could not accidentally discover during his normal use of our shared computer systems and household spaces. I opened a private email account accessible only from my office computer and began maintaining encrypted files that contained detailed observations, financial analysis, and timeline development that tracked the evolution of suspicious activities. The systematic nature of this approach served multiple purposes beyond simple information gathering. Maintaining objective records helped me process the emotional impact of discovering evidence of betrayal, while providing the concrete foundation necessary for making informed decisions about my future. Additionally, the documentation would prove essential for legal proceedings if divorce became necessary, ensuring that my attorney would have comprehensive evidence to support favorable outcomes in asset division and settlement negotiations. My professional experience in budget analysis and financial forecasting proved invaluable for conducting thorough examination of our household financial activities that revealed spending patterns completely inconsistent with Michael's explanations about his massage therapy treatments. The analysis extended far beyond simple review of credit card statements, to include examination of cash withdrawal patterns, changes in direct deposit allocations, and expense categorization that demonstrated deliberate financial concealment. The massage therapy charges themselves represented only the most obvious component of a much larger pattern of expenditures that suggested Michael was funding an entirely separate lifestyle that he was concealing from me. Restaurant charges in unfamiliar locations, retail purchases at stores we had never visited together, and entertainment expenses that occurred during times when he claimed to be working late or attending business meetings painted a clear picture of deceptive behavior. More concerning was the discovery that Michael had altered his direct deposit arrangements to divert a portion of his salary into a separate checking account that he had opened without my knowledge. This account, which I discovered through careful analysis of his pay stub documentation, was being used to fund activities that would not appear on our shared credit card statements or joint checking account records. The financial investigation also revealed that Michael had been using business expense reimbursements inappropriately to fund personal activities with Harmony Rivers. Charges that appeared on his corporate credit card as legitimate business meals and client entertainment were occurring in locations and at times that corresponded with his massage therapy appointments, suggesting that he was defrauding his employer while simultaneously deceiving me about his activities. Understanding the full scope of the financial deception provided crucial insights into the seriousness and duration of Michael's relationship with Harmony Rivers. The systematic nature of the financial concealment demonstrated that this was not a casual indiscretion, but rather a carefully planned relationship that had been developing over many months with deliberate effort to hide the evidence from me. The evolution of Michael's technology usage patterns provided another rich source of evidence that supported the financial analysis, while revealing additional dimensions of his deceptive behavior. His smartphone, which had previously been used openly in my presence for work-related communications and occasional personal calls, became a constant companion that he guarded carefully and used exclusively in private settings. The dramatic increase in text messaging activity, particularly during evening hours when he was supposedly relaxing at home, suggested extensive communication with someone whose identity he was deliberately concealing. His phone would buzz frequently with incoming messages that would cause immediate changes in his facial expression and body language, followed by extended periods of typing responses while he claimed to be handling work-related issues. His laptop usage patterns also changed significantly during this period, with increased evening and weekend activity that he explained as catching up on office work or completing continuing education requirements for his professional certifications. However, the timing and duration of these sessions suggested personal rather than professional activities, particularly when they occurred late at night or early in the morning when business communications would be inappropriate. The discovery of unfamiliar browser history entries on our shared home computer provided concrete evidence that Michael was researching topics related to relationship development and gift purchasing that were completely inconsistent with our marriage or his stated interests. Searches for romantic restaurants, jewelry stores, and weekend getaway destinations revealed planning activities for experiences that he was not sharing with me. Most significantly, Michael had installed privacy software on his personal devices that was designed to prevent recovery of deleted messages, browser history, and application usage data. This level of technological concealment suggested awareness that his activities would be problematic if discovered and demonstrated premeditated effort to hide evidence of his relationship with Harmony Rivers. Professional experience in consumer behavior analysis and market research provided frameworks for systematically evaluating the changes in Michael's communication patterns and emotional responses that had initially seemed like minor relationship adjustments, but revealed themselves as indicators of significant deception when analyzed comprehensively. The evolution of his explanations for schedule changes and work-related commitments demonstrated increasingly sophisticated deception techniques that suggested extensive practice in concealing his actual activities. Where his early explanations had been simple and straightforward, his more recent communications included elaborate details and circumstantial information that seemed designed to preempt questions rather than simply convey factual information. His emotional responses to routine questions about his daily activities had become consistently defensive and occasionally aggressive, representing a dramatic change from the open communication style that had characterized our earlier relationship. Simple inquiries about his workday or evening plans would trigger responses that seemed disproportionately intense for such routine conversations, suggesting that he was experiencing significant stress related to maintaining his deceptive narrative. The timing and content of his spontaneous communications also revealed patterns that supported the evidence of infidelity. He had begun offering unprompted explanations for his activities and whereabouts, particularly on days when he had massage therapy appointments, suggesting awareness that his behavior was suspicious and required proactive justification. Most telling was the complete absence of physical and emotional intimacy in our marriage, which had deteriorated far beyond what could be explained by work stress or normal relationship evolution. Michael's lack of interest in spending quality time together, his avoidance of conversations about our future plans, and his obvious discomfort with physical affection suggested that his emotional energy was focused elsewhere. Understanding that my personal observations provided only limited perspective on the full scope of Michael's deceptive behavior, I began carefully gathering information through our shared professional and social networks without revealing my specific concerns or investigation activities. This approach provided external validation of suspicious patterns, while expanding my understanding of how extensively his behavior had changed. Conversations with colleagues who interacted with Michael through business activities revealed that his work performance and professional demeanor had remained consistent, suggesting that his behavioral changes were specifically related to our marriage, rather than broader personal or professional stress. This information confirmed that he was capable of maintaining normal behavior when necessary, while choosing to be deceptive and distant specifically in our relationship. Social interactions with other couples in our neighborhood and professional circles provided opportunities to observe Michael's behavior in group settings and compare his current demeanor with his historical social patterns. These observations revealed that he had become noticeably distracted and emotionally absent during social events, frequently checking his phone and seeming preoccupied with concerns that he was not sharing with me or our friends. Information gathered through casual conversations with mutual acquaintances also revealed that Michael had been seen in locations and situations that were inconsistent with the activities he had described to me. These reports, while indirect and requiring careful interpretation, provided additional confirmation that his deceptive behavior extended beyond financial concealment to include deliberate misrepresentation of his daily activities and social interactions. The accumulation of evidence from financial analysis, technology investigation, behavioral observation, and network intelligence gathering created a comprehensive picture that made Michael's infidelity increasingly undeniable. However, the transition from evidence gathering to strategic response required careful consideration of multiple factors that would influence the long-term outcomes of any confrontation or legal proceedings. Understanding that premature confrontation could compromise my ability to gather additional evidence while potentially alerting Michael to implement more sophisticated concealment strategies, I made the strategic decision to continue the investigation while beginning preparation for eventual legal and financial separation. This approach would ensure that I maintained all possible advantages while building the strongest possible foundation for protecting my interests during divorce proceedings. The decision to engage professional assistance for both investigation and legal preparation represented a significant emotional milestone in accepting that our marriage was likely beyond repair. However, the systematic approach I had developed for evaluating evidence and planning responses provided confidence that I was making rational decisions based on comprehensive information rather than emotional reactions to disappointing discoveries. Developing timeline scenarios for different potential outcomes enabled me to prepare strategically for various possibilities, while maintaining flexibility for adjusting my approach based on additional information or changing circumstances. This planning process included consideration of optimal timing for confrontation, preparation of evidence, presentation methods, and development of communication strategies that would protect my interests, while providing Michael with opportunities to acknowledge his deception and potentially attempt relationship repair. The systematic investigation and strategic planning process created personal transformation that extended far beyond the immediate crisis management requirements. Developing capabilities for independent research, financial analysis, and strategic decision-making under pressure provided skills and confidence that would serve me well regardless of how the marriage situation ultimately resolved. Recognition that I could successfully manage complex personal challenges, using the same analytical and planning capabilities that had driven my professional success, fundamentally changed my understanding of my own resilience and independence. This realization provided emotional strength for facing whatever developments might emerge from continued investigation, while reducing the anxiety and uncertainty that had initially accompanied my discovery of suspicious behavior. The process also revealed the extent to which I had been unconsciously accepting diminished respect and consideration in my marriage, patterns that I would never tolerate in professional relationships, but had rationalized as normal relationship compromise. Understanding these dynamics provided clarity about the minimum standards I would require for any future relationship, while strengthening my resolve to prioritize my own well-being and happiness. Most importantly, the systematic approach to investigating and responding to Michael's deception demonstrated that I possessed the emotional strength and strategic thinking capabilities necessary for creating a fulfilling independent life, regardless of whether our marriage could be salvaged. This confidence would prove essential during the confrontational phases that lay ahead, when Michael and Harmony Rivers would attempt to manipulate the narrative to minimize their responsibility for the relationship destruction they had created. Recognizing that amateur investigation had revealed sufficient evidence to justify professional assistance, while potentially missing crucial information that could strengthen my legal position, I began researching qualified private investigators who could provide comprehensive documentation of Michael's activities, while maintaining the discretion necessary for avoiding premature discovery of my knowledge about his infidelity. The selection process for investigation services required careful evaluation of professional credentials, relevant experience, and communication approaches that would ensure effective collaboration while maintaining appropriate boundaries. Understanding that the evidence gathered through professional investigation could be crucial for legal proceedings demanded attention to documentation standards and legal admissibility requirements that amateur efforts might not satisfy. Preparation for working with professional investigators also required developing clear objectives and communication protocols that would maximize the value of their services while protecting my emotional well-being during what would inevitably be a difficult period of discovering detailed evidence of betrayal. This preparation included establishing support systems and coping strategies for processing whatever information the investigation might reveal. The decision to engage professional assistance represented both practical necessity and symbolic importance in my transformation from uncertain spouse to empowered individual taking control of her circumstances. This step demonstrated commitment to discovering the complete truth regardless of personal cost, while ensuring that any decisions about my future would be based on comprehensive information rather than incomplete speculation. The stage was now set for the professional investigation that would provide irrefutable evidence of Michael's betrayal, while completing my preparation for the confrontation that would ultimately transform apparent devastation into empowering liberation from a relationship that had already been destroyed by deception and disrespect. The decision to transition from personal investigation to professional surveillance represented a critical milestone in my systematic approach to documenting Michael's infidelity, while preparing comprehensively for the legal and personal consequences that would inevitably follow the revelation of his deceptive behavior. Understanding that amateur investigation had revealed sufficient evidence to justify professional assistance, while potentially missing crucial documentation that could strengthen my position during divorce proceedings, I initiated a careful selection process for qualified investigative services. The research phase for identifying appropriate professional assistance required evaluating multiple factors that would influence both the quality of evidence gathered and the legal admissibility of documentation in potential court proceedings. Professional credentials, relevant experience with similar cases, communication protocols, and fee structures all demanded careful consideration to ensure that the investment in professional services would provide maximum value for protecting my interests during the challenging months ahead. Sarah Chen's investigative practice emerged as the optimal choice based on her extensive experience with both corporate fraud investigations and personal relationship matters, particularly cases involving suspected infidelity and financial deception. Her professional approach emphasized systematic documentation methods that would satisfy legal standards while maintaining the discretion necessary for gathering evidence without alerting the subjects to ongoing surveillance activities. The initial consultation with Sarah Chen provided essential education about the investigation process, while establishing realistic expectations about timelines, potential outcomes, and the types of evidence that would be most valuable for supporting my objectives. Her explanation of surveillance techniques, documentation standards, and evidence preservation methods demonstrated the professional expertise that would ensure comprehensive coverage of Michael's activities while maintaining legal admissibility for any future proceedings. Understanding that the professional investigation would require several weeks to produce comprehensive results, I coordinated the timing of surveillance activities with my own schedule to ensure that I could maintain normal routines while avoiding inadvertent interference with evidence-gathering efforts. This coordination also enabled me to continue my own strategic preparation activities, while professional investigators handled the detailed documentation of Michael's deceptive behavior. The systematic surveillance phase conducted by Sarah Chen's team provided detailed documentation of Michael's activities that exceeded my expectations in both scope and specificity. Professional investigation techniques revealed patterns of behavior and relationship development that my amateur efforts had only partially uncovered, demonstrating the value of experienced expertise for gathering comprehensive evidence in complex personal situations. The photographic documentation produced through strategic surveillance provided irrefutable visual evidence of Michael's romantic relationship with Harmony Rivers that eliminated any possibility of alternative explanations for their interactions. Images captured during multiple surveillance sessions showed intimate behavior, extended social activities, and physical affection that clearly demonstrated a sexual relationship had developed alongside or instead of legitimate therapeutic services. The temporal analysis of their activities revealed that Michael and Harmony were spending significantly more time together than could be justified by professional massage therapy sessions. Surveillance documented extended lunch meetings, evening social activities, weekend excursions, and overnight stays that demonstrated a level of relationship involvement that completely contradicted Michael's explanations about receiving medical treatment for back pain management. Geographic analysis of their activities provided additional evidence that their relationship extended far beyond the professional wellness center where Harmony supposedly provided therapeutic services. Surveillance documented visits to residential locations, recreational facilities, shopping centers, and restaurant establishments that suggested they were functioning as a romantic couple across multiple aspects of daily life rather than maintaining appropriate professional boundaries. The financial documentation component of the professional investigation revealed spending patterns that supported the photographic evidence, while providing detailed accounting of resources that Michael had devoted to developing his relationship with Harmony Rivers. Professional investigators were able to access records and documentation that had been beyond my capabilities, creating comprehensive financial profiles that would be essential for asset protection during divorce proceedings. Professional investigation services extended beyond surveillance activities to include comprehensive background research on Harmony Rivers that revealed patterns of behavior, suggesting that Michael was not her first client, whose marriage had been compromised through inappropriate therapeutic relationships. This information provided crucial context for understanding the calculated nature of her approach to developing personal relationships with married clients. Public records research revealed that Harmony had been involved in at least 2 previous situations where professional massage therapy relationships had evolved into personal relationships that resulted in divorce proceedings involving her clients. Court documents from these cases indicated that she had been named as a contributing factor in marriage dissolution, suggesting a pattern of behavior rather than isolated incidents of poor professional judgment. Professional licensing records showed that Harmony had received warnings from state regulatory authorities regarding appropriate client relationship boundaries, indicating that her behavior had attracted official attention, even when it had not resulted in formal disciplinary action. This documentation would prove valuable for demonstrating that Michael's involvement with someone who had a history of inappropriate professional conduct represented a pattern of poor decision-making rather than an isolated mistake. Financial background investigation revealed that Harmony's business model appeared to include targeting married male clients with substantial financial resources, suggesting that her interest in Michael might be motivated by economic considerations as well as or instead of genuine romantic attachment. This information provided important context for evaluating the likelihood that their relationship represented a temporary infatuation versus a calculated strategy for financial gain. Professional investigation also uncovered evidence that Harmony had been researching Michael's financial status and family circumstances through social media analysis and public records review, demonstrating premeditated interest in developing a relationship with someone whose economic situation could provide significant lifestyle improvements. This systematic approach to client evaluations suggested professional rather than personal motivations for pursuing married clients. The professional investigation included sophisticated analysis of digital communications and technology usage patterns that provided detailed documentation of the frequency and content of interactions between Michael and Harmony Rivers. Professional digital forensics capabilities revealed information that amateur investigation techniques could not access, while ensuring that evidence gathering remained within legal boundaries. Cell phone record analysis documented extensive communication between Michael and Harmony that occurred throughout normal business hours as well as evenings and weekends, indicating continuous contact that extended far beyond scheduling appointments or discussing therapeutic treatments. The frequency and timing of these communications demonstrated a level of personal involvement that completely contradicted professional service relationships. Social media investigation revealed that both Michael and Harmony had been carefully managing their online presence to avoid obvious evidence of their relationship, while maintaining private communications through platforms that they believed would provide greater privacy protection. Professional investigators were able to document digital evidence that demonstrated coordination of their activities and planning for future relationship development. Email analysis revealed extensive correspondence between Michael and Harmony that included explicit discussion of their sexual relationship, planning for extended time together, and conversation about the timeline for ending my marriage so that they could formalize their commitment to each other. These communications provided irrefutable evidence of premeditated deception, while demonstrating that their relationship had progressed to serious commitment and future planning. Digital financial analysis revealed that Michael had been using various electronic payment methods to fund gifts and activities for Harmony Rivers that would not appear on traditional credit card statements or banking records. Professional investigation techniques uncovered these transactions while documenting their frequency and amounts to support comprehensive understanding of the financial resources he had devoted to their relationship. Understanding that the evidence gathered through professional investigation would be essential for protecting my interests during divorce proceedings, I initiated consultation with Patricia Hendricks, a family law attorney with extensive experience in complex divorce cases involving significant financial assets and infidelity. The timing of legal consultation was coordinated with the investigation timeline to ensure that comprehensive evidence would be available for strategic planning and case preparation. The initial legal consultation provided essential education about divorce procedures, asset division principles, and evidence requirements that would influence the strategies available for achieving favorable outcomes in my specific situation. Patricia's explanation of Illinois divorce law and precedent cases involving similar circumstances enabled me to understand realistic expectations, while identifying opportunities for maximizing my financial protection. Asset documentation became a priority focus area requiring systematic identification and valuation of all marital property, including real estate holdings, investment accounts, retirement savings, and personal property of significant value. This process revealed the complexity of property division calculations, while highlighting the importance of thorough preparation for protecting assets that represented years of careful financial planning and career advancement. The legal consultation also addressed timeline considerations for optimal case filing and evidence presentation that would maximize strategic advantages, while minimizing opportunities for Michael to conceal assets or manipulate financial records once he became aware of divorce proceedings. Understanding these timing factors enabled coordination between ongoing investigation activities and legal preparation to ensure maximum effectiveness of both components. Protection strategies for professional reputation and career advancement became important considerations given the potential for divorce proceedings to attract unwanted attention that could impact my standing within corporate environments where personal scandals might influence advancement opportunities. Patricia's guidance regarding privacy protection and media management provided reassurance that appropriate legal strategies could minimize professional disruption. Recognition that divorce proceedings could potentially restrict access to joint financial accounts and shared resources necessitated careful preparation for maintaining financial independence throughout the legal process, while ensuring access to resources necessary for legal representation and living expenses. This preparation required developing comprehensive understanding of my individual financial position, separate from shared marital assets. The establishment of separate banking relationships provided secure access to financial resources that could not be compromised through joint account restrictions or freezing orders that might be implemented during contentious divorce proceedings. Professional guidance from financial advisors experienced with divorce situations enabled strategic planning for maintaining liquidity while protecting long-term financial security. Insurance coverage analysis revealed potential vulnerabilities that could arise if Michael chose to terminate shared health insurance, life insurance, or property insurance policies during divorce proceedings. Advanced preparation for maintaining adequate coverage independently provided security against deliberate efforts to create financial pressure through insurance manipulation. Credit protection became essential preparation given the potential for divorce proceedings to impact joint financial obligations, while ensuring that my individual credit rating would not be compromised through any retaliatory financial actions that Michael might attempt once he became aware of the divorce filing. Professional credit monitoring and protection services provided safeguards against potential financial sabotage. Career protection strategies included confidential consultation with human resources professionals regarding policies and procedures that could affect my employment if personal circumstances required extended time away from normal responsibilities, or if divorce proceedings created scheduling conflicts with important business activities. Understanding these policies enabled proactive planning for maintaining professional performance standards while managing personal legal requirements. Understanding that the evidence-gathering process would inevitably produce detailed documentation of betrayal and deception that could create significant emotional distress, I intensified my work with Dr. Jennifer Morrison to develop coping strategies and emotional resilience techniques that would enable me to process difficult information while maintaining focus on strategic objectives and long-term planning. Therapy sessions focused on developing practical frameworks for separating emotional reactions from strategic decision-making, ensuring that anger and disappointment about Michael's betrayal would not compromise my ability to make rational choices about legal strategies and financial protection. This emotional preparation proved essential for maintaining psychological stability during the investigation phase, while preparing for the confrontational periods that would follow. The development of support network protocols ensured that family members and close friends would be prepared to provide appropriate assistance during challenging phases of the divorce process, without becoming inadvertently involved in legal complications or strategic planning that required professional expertise. Clear communication about boundaries and expectations prevented well-meaning interference while maintaining access to emotional support. Stress management techniques, including regular exercise, nutritional planning, and sleep optimization, became essential components of maintaining physical health during the extended period of investigation and legal preparation. Professional guidance regarding stress reduction methods provided practical tools for managing the psychological demands of discovering detailed evidence of infidelity while preparing for complex legal proceedings. Personal empowerment work with Dr. Morrison focused on reinforcing my understanding of personal worth and capabilities independent of marriage outcomes, ensuring that my self-confidence and future planning would not be compromised by the relationship failures that Michael's choices had created. This psychological foundation would prove crucial for maintaining strength and determination during the confrontational phases ahead. The completion of professional investigation activities produced comprehensive documentation that exceeded initial expectations in both detail and legal admissibility, providing irrefutable evidence of Michael's infidelity while revealing the calculated nature of his deception and the extensive resources he had devoted to developing his relationship with Harmony Rivers. The final investigation report included detailed chronological documentation of Michael's activities, comprehensive financial analysis of resources devoted to the relationship, extensive photographic evidence of intimate behavior, and professional assessment of the relationship timeline that demonstrated months of systematic deception rather than recent relationship development. Evidence compilation for legal presentation required organizing hundreds of photographs, financial documents, communication records, and surveillance reports into comprehensive packages that would enable efficient presentation during legal proceedings, while ensuring that all documentation met admissibility standards for family court proceedings. The investigation results confirmed that Michael and Harmony had progressed beyond casual infidelity to serious commitment, including discussion of cohabitation arrangements and long-term relationship planning that would require ending my marriage in the immediate future. This information provided crucial context for understanding that confrontation was inevitable, regardless of my strategic choices. Professional assessment of the evidence quality and legal strength provided confidence that my position during divorce proceedings would be exceptionally strong, enabling achievement of favorable outcomes in asset division while minimizing opportunities for Michael to claim financial hardship or relationship equality that might compromise my financial protection. The stage was now completely set for the final phases of preparation that would enable me to respond to the inevitable confrontation with complete confidence in my strategic position and comprehensive evidence documentation that would transform apparent devastation into empowering demonstration of personal strength and strategic competence. The accumulation of irrefutable evidence regarding Michael's infidelity required strategic development of support systems that would provide both emotional sustenance and practical assistance during the confrontational phases that would inevitably follow the revelation of my knowledge about his deceptive behavior. Understanding that successful navigation of complex divorce proceedings demanded resources beyond individual capabilities, I implemented systematic approaches to building professional and personal alliances that would strengthen my position while maintaining appropriate confidentiality about ongoing legal preparations. The construction of effective support networks required careful evaluation of potential allies based on their capabilities for providing specific types of assistance, their reliability under pressure, and their ability to maintain discretion about sensitive information that could compromise strategic advantages if disclosed prematurely. This evaluation process applied professional assessment criteria to personal relationships, ensuring that emotional considerations would not override practical requirements for effective support during challenging circumstances. My sister Rachel emerged as the primary source of immediate practical assistance due to her geographic proximity, professional background in human resources management, and demonstrated competence in crisis management situations. Her experience with employee relations and conflict resolution provided valuable perspective regarding strategic communication approaches, while her emotional stability and practical nature offered reliable support without excessive emotional complications that could compromise decision-making clarity. The selection of additional family members for inclusion in the support network required balancing their emotional investment in my well-being with their capacity for providing constructive assistance rather than well-meaning interference that could complicate legal strategies or evidence preservation activities. This evaluation led to deliberate decisions about timing and extent of information sharing that would maximize support benefits while minimizing potential complications. Professional colleagues required particularly careful consideration given the potential impact of personal circumstances on career advancement and workplace relationships. The identification of trusted colleagues who could provide perspective and assistance without compromising professional standing demanded assessment of their discretion capabilities and understanding of appropriate boundaries between personal support and workplace involvement. Recognition that divorce proceedings involving significant marital assets required specialized financial expertise beyond general legal representation led to engagement of financial advisory services specifically experienced with asset protection during family law proceedings. This professional relationship provided essential guidance for preserving wealth accumulated through years of careful career advancement and strategic financial planning, while ensuring compliance with legal requirements for financial disclosure during divorce proceedings. The financial advisory consultation revealed complexities in asset valuation and division calculations that demanded sophisticated understanding of investment portfolios, retirement account regulations, real estate holdings, and professional income projections. These complexities highlighted the importance of professional expertise for achieving optimal outcomes, while avoiding costly mistakes that could compromise long-term financial security through inadequate preparation or strategic errors. Asset protection strategies included establishing individual financial accounts and investment relationships that would provide ongoing access to resources regardless of joint account restrictions that might be implemented during contentious divorce proceedings. This preparation ensured financial independence while maintaining legal compliance with disclosure requirements that would govern formal divorce proceedings. The financial planning process also addressed post-divorce budget development and lifestyle adjustments that would be necessary for maintaining financial stability as a single professional rather than as part of a dual-income household. This analysis provided realistic frameworks for evaluating settlement proposals while ensuring that long-term financial goals remained achievable through individual income and asset management. Professional guidance regarding tax implications of various settlement structures enabled informed decision-making about asset division proposals that would minimize tax burdens while maximizing after-tax financial resources available for post-divorce lifestyle maintenance and future financial planning. Understanding these tax consequences proved essential for evaluating the true value of different settlement alternatives. The evolution of legal strategy beyond initial consultation required comprehensive case preparation that would position all available evidence for maximum effectiveness during formal divorce proceedings, while ensuring that strategic advantages would be preserved throughout extended legal processes. This preparation demanded coordination between multiple professional services to create unified approaches that would support optimal outcomes across all aspects of the case. The development of evidence presentation strategies required organizing comprehensive documentation into formats that would facilitate efficient legal proceedings, while ensuring that the overwhelming nature of evidence supporting infidelity claims would be apparent to opposing counsel and judicial authorities. This organization process revealed the extraordinary thoroughness of documentation that professional investigation had produced, while highlighting strategic opportunities for achieving favorable settlement terms. Legal strategy discussions addressed potential defensive responses that Michael and his legal representation might attempt to implement once they became aware of the extent of evidence documenting his infidelity and financial deception. Anticipating these defensive strategies enabled proactive preparation of counter-responses that would maintain strategic advantages while preventing attempts to minimize the significance of documented deceptive behavior. The coordination of legal timing with investigation activities ensured that all available evidence would be secured before formal proceedings commenced, while preventing premature disclosure that could enable Michael to implement concealment strategies or attempt to manipulate financial records. This timing coordination proved crucial for maintaining maximum strategic advantage throughout the legal process. Settlement negotiation strategies received particular attention given the strength of evidence supporting claims of infidelity and financial deception that would likely motivate Michael to seek resolution through negotiated settlement rather than public trial proceedings. Understanding negotiation dynamics and leverage opportunities enabled strategic planning for achieving optimal financial outcomes, while minimizing the duration and emotional costs of extended legal proceedings. Understanding that personal circumstances could potentially impact professional standing and career advancement opportunities required developing comprehensive strategies for managing workplace relationships and performance standards during the challenging period of divorce proceedings. This career protection planning ensured that personal difficulties would not compromise years of professional development and reputation building within competitive corporate environments. The communication strategy with supervisors and key colleagues involved providing appropriate information about potential schedule disruptions and personal circumstances, without revealing details that could attract unwanted attention or speculation about private matters. This communication approach maintained professional boundaries while ensuring that necessary accommodations could be implemented without compromising work quality or team effectiveness. Performance management during personal crisis required establishing systems for maintaining productivity standards and deadline compliance despite the additional demands of legal proceedings and emotional processing of relationship dissolution. This included developing backup plans for critical work responsibilities and ensuring that personal circumstances would not create professional liabilities for important projects or client relationships. The development of professional support within workplace environments included identifying colleagues who could provide perspective and assistance during challenging periods, while maintaining appropriate discretion about personal circumstances that were not relevant to workplace activities. This professional support complemented personal support networks while respecting organizational boundaries and professional relationship requirements. Career advancement planning required consideration of how divorce proceedings might impact travel availability, relocation flexibility, and time commitment for expanded responsibilities that could be offered during this transitional period. Strategic planning for these potential opportunities ensured that personal circumstances would not eliminate career advancement possibilities, while recognizing realistic limitations that might apply during legal proceedings. The intensification of psychological preparation for confronting detailed evidence of betrayal while maintaining strategic focus during extended legal proceedings required advanced therapeutic techniques and emotional resilience development that would enable effective functioning under significant stress. This psychological preparation proved essential for maintaining decision-making clarity while processing the emotional impact of relationship dissolution and deception discovery. Therapeutic work with Dr. Morrison expanded to include specific preparation for confrontational conversations and legal proceedings that would require maintaining composure while presenting evidence of infidelity and deception to various audiences, including attorneys, mediators, and potentially judicial authorities. These preparation sessions provided practical techniques for managing emotional reactions while maintaining strategic communication effectiveness. The development of emotional compartmentalization techniques enabled separation of grief and anger regarding relationship loss from strategic thinking required for legal proceedings and future planning. This psychological skill proved crucial for maintaining clarity about long-term objectives while processing the immediate emotional impact of discovering extensive deception and betrayal. Stress management protocols included advanced techniques for maintaining physical health and cognitive function during extended periods of high stress and emotional demand. These protocols address sleep optimization, nutritional planning, exercise scheduling, and relaxation techniques that would support sustained performance throughout challenging legal and personal circumstances. Personal empowerment work focused on reinforcing understanding of individual worth and capabilities that existed independently of marriage outcomes, while building confidence in decision-making abilities that would be essential for creating fulfilling post-divorce life circumstances. This psychological foundation provided strength for facing confrontational situations while maintaining focus on positive future possibilities. Understanding that eventual confrontation with Michael would require carefully planned communication approaches that would protect strategic advantages while achieving specific objectives led to development of comprehensive communication strategies that addressed various potential scenarios and responses. This planning ensured that emotional reactions would not compromise strategic positioning during crucial conversations that would determine the tone and trajectory of divorce proceedings. Message development for initial confrontation focused on maintaining control of conversation direction while preventing defensive responses that could complicate evidence presentation or enable Michael to implement damage control strategies. This communication planning included preparation for various emotional responses and defensive tactics that might be attempted during initial revelation of evidence. The development of communication protocols for legal proceedings required understanding appropriate language and presentation techniques that would effectively convey evidence while maintaining professional credibility during formal legal interactions. This preparation included practice sessions for presenting complex information clearly while managing emotional content that could potentially compromise communication effectiveness. Strategic communication with extended family and mutual friends required careful planning to maintain relationships while managing information disclosure that could potentially complicate legal proceedings or create interpersonal conflicts that would add stress to already challenging circumstances. This communication strategy balanced transparency with strategic discretion about sensitive legal matters. Professional communication planning addressed potential workplace interactions and client relationships that might be affected by personal circumstances, while ensuring that business relationships would be maintained through appropriate professional conduct, regardless of personal difficulties. This planning protected career interests while managing personal crisis effectively. The completion of comprehensive preparation activities across legal, financial, emotional, and strategic domains created unprecedented confidence in my readiness for confronting Michael about his infidelity, while managing all subsequent consequences through systematic planning and professional support systems. This preparation represented transformation from uncertain spouse to empowered individual prepared for independent success regardless of relationship outcomes. The coordination of all preparation elements ensured that evidence presentation, legal strategy, financial protection, emotional support, and career management would function as integrated systems rather than competing priorities during challenging months ahead. This systematic integration provided confidence that all important considerations had been addressed through professional planning and strategic thinking. Quality assurance review of all preparation activities confirmed that documentation standards, legal compliance, evidence security, and strategic positioning had been optimized for achieving favorable outcomes while maintaining ethical standards and professional conduct throughout all proceedings. This review provided final confidence that strategic objectives could be achieved through systematic execution of comprehensive plans. Timeline coordination ensured that all preparation elements would be available when needed, while maintaining flexibility for adjusting tactics based on Michael's responses and legal developments that might require strategic modifications. This temporal planning provided frameworks for managing complex proceedings while maintaining strategic advantages. The achievement of complete preparation across all relevant domains represented personal transformation that extended far beyond immediate crisis management, to include development of capabilities and confidence that would support long-term success and independence regardless of specific relationship outcomes. This transformation prepared me emotionally and strategically for the confrontation that would ultimately demonstrate the power of systematic preparation and strategic thinking for overcoming apparent devastation through personal empowerment and professional competence. The foundation had been established for responding to inevitable confrontation not as a victim of betrayal, but as a prepared individual ready to demonstrate that systematic planning and strategic thinking could transform apparent personal crisis into opportunity for achieving greater independence and empowerment than had previously seemed possible. The comprehensive preparation phase had created an internal transformation that manifested in subtle but observable changes in my demeanor and approach to daily interactions with Michael. While maintaining normal household routines and social appearances, the confidence derived from thorough strategic planning and professional support networks had fundamentally altered my emotional relationship to our marriage and his continued deceptive behavior. Michael's increasingly sophisticated attempts at concealment had become transparent rather than mysterious, creating an almost surreal dynamic where I possessed complete understanding of his activities while he remained confident that his deception remained undetected. This knowledge differential provided psychological advantages that reinforced my strategic position, while enabling me to observe his behavior with analytical detachment rather than emotional distress. The systematic documentation and evidence gathering had eliminated uncertainty about the nature and extent of his relationship with Harmony Rivers, replacing anxiety and speculation with concrete knowledge that enabled strategic planning rather than emotional reaction. This certainty provided psychological foundation for approaching inevitable confrontation with confidence rather than fear about potential discoveries or defensive responses. Professional guidance from legal and therapeutic advisors had prepared me for recognizing escalation patterns that would indicate approaching decision points, where Michael and Harmony would need to formalize their relationship status by ending my marriage. Understanding these behavioral indicators enabled proactive positioning rather than reactive response when developments eventually reached critical phases. The transformation from uncertain spouse to strategically prepared individual had created measurable changes in my communication patterns, emotional responses, and daily priorities that reflected growing independence and self-confidence. These changes occurred gradually enough to avoid triggering suspicion, while building internal strength for managing whatever confrontational scenarios might develop. Michael's growing confidence in his deception had led to increasingly careless behavior that provided additional evidence, while demonstrating his fundamental underestimation of my awareness and analytical capabilities. The arrogance that accompanied his belief that he was successfully managing both relationships simultaneously resulted in strategic errors that further strengthened my legal position while revealing the contempt with which he viewed my intelligence and observational abilities. His scheduling had become more aggressive in prioritizing time with Harmony Rivers, while providing increasingly elaborate explanations for extended absences that included unnecessary details suggesting awareness that his activities required sophisticated justification. These explanations often contained verifiable information that enabled confirmation of deception through simple research, rather than requiring extensive investigation resources. Financial behavior had evolved from careful concealment to bold expenditures that demonstrated growing disregard for potential discovery or consequences related to misusing marital resources for relationship development with another individual. Credit card charges and cash withdrawals had increased both in frequency and amount while becoming less geographically consistent with provided explanations for his activities. Communication patterns had shifted toward preemptive defensiveness and unprompted explanations that suggested growing psychological pressure related to maintaining deceptive narratives across multiple relationships. His tendency to provide excessive information about routine activities indicated internal stress regarding deception management while revealing strategic information about his actual activities and concerns. Most significantly, Michael had begun making subtle inquiries about my daily schedule and weekend plans that suggested coordination with Harmony Rivers for activities that required ensuring my absence from specific locations or time periods. These inquiries provided valuable intelligence about their planning, while demonstrating their progression toward more serious relationship commitment that would necessitate resolving the complication represented by our marriage. The strength of evidence documentation had enabled consultations with additional legal and financial professionals who confirmed that my strategic position was exceptionally strong, while providing validation for the systematic approach I had implemented for gathering evidence and preparing for legal proceedings. This professional validation reinforced confidence in my strategic planning, while ensuring that all preparation activities met appropriate professional standards. Secondary legal opinions from attorneys specializing in complex divorce cases confirmed that the evidence documentation exceeded typical standards for proving infidelity, while providing overwhelming support for favorable asset division and settlement negotiations. These consultations verified that professional investigation had produced legally admissible evidence that would be highly effective during formal proceedings. Financial advisory reviews confirmed that asset protection strategies had been appropriately implemented while ensuring compliance with legal disclosure requirements that would govern divorce proceedings. Professional validation of financial preparation provided confidence that economic interests had been protected while maintaining ethical standards for asset management during marriage dissolution. The psychological preparation had received positive assessment from Dr. Morrison regarding emotional resilience development and strategic thinking capabilities that would enable effective functioning during confrontational phases and extended legal proceedings. This professional validation confirmed that emotional preparation had created sustainable psychological foundations for managing challenging circumstances. Professional investigation services had provided comprehensive final reports that documented evidence quality and legal admissibility standards, while confirming that all investigation activities had been conducted within appropriate ethical and legal boundaries. This professional assessment provided confidence that evidence presentation would be effective while maintaining legal compliance throughout all proceedings. The professional surveillance had revealed increasing coordination between Michael and Harmony Rivers regarding their activities and future planning that indicated approaching decision points where their relationship status would require resolution through formalization or termination. This intelligence provided crucial information about likely timelines for confrontation, while enabling strategic preparation for various potential scenarios. Recent surveillance had documented apartment hunting activities that suggested active planning for cohabitation arrangements that would necessitate ending my marriage within specific timeframes determined by lease agreements and housing availability. This information provided concrete indicators of their commitment level, while establishing likely confrontation timelines based on practical requirements for implementing their plans. Financial monitoring had revealed discussions about shared financial arrangements and expense sharing that indicated serious relationship commitment beyond casual romantic involvement. These financial commitments provided additional evidence of relationship permanence while demonstrating their progression toward practical partnership that would require resolving existing marital obligations. Communication analysis had revealed planning conversations about optimal timing and methods for revealing their relationship, while minimizing personal and professional consequences for their respective circumstances. These communications provided valuable intelligence about their strategic thinking, while revealing their awareness that confrontation was inevitable and required careful management. The surveillance had also documented increasing boldness in their public appearances together that suggested decreasing concern about discovery by mutual acquaintances or professional associates. This behavioral change indicated growing confidence in their relationship stability, while suggesting that formal announcement of their commitment was approaching within predictable timeframes. Understanding that optimal confrontation timing required careful management of information disclosure and strategic positioning had led to systematic approaches for maintaining advantages while ensuring that all preparation activities remained concealed until optimal revelation timing could be achieved. This information management required balancing transparency with strategic discretion across multiple relationships and professional contexts. Family communication had involved selective disclosure of potential relationship difficulties without revealing specific evidence or legal preparation activities that could compromise strategic advantages if information were inadvertently shared with individuals who might communicate with Michael or his social network. This communication approach ensured family support availability while maintaining operational security for sensitive preparation activities. Professional communication had maintained appropriate boundaries regarding personal circumstances while ensuring that workplace performance and responsibilities would not be compromised by personal difficulties during challenging periods ahead. This professional management balanced transparency with discretion, while protecting career interests through appropriate relationship management. Social relationship management had required careful navigation of mutual friendships and community connections that could potentially create complications if information about marriage difficulties were disclosed prematurely or inappropriately. This social management maintained normal appearances while preparing for eventual relationship changes that would affect broader social dynamics. The coordination of information management across all relevant relationships required systematic planning and consistent implementation to ensure that strategic advantages would be preserved, while maintaining appropriate relationships and minimizing unnecessary complications during an already challenging transitional period. Recognition that confrontation was approaching within measurable timeframes rather than indefinite future periods required intensified psychological preparation for managing the emotional and strategic demands of revealing knowledge about Michael's infidelity, while maintaining composure and strategic focus during potentially volatile conversations. This psychological preparation addressed both practical communication requirements and emotional resilience needs for optimal confrontation management. Advanced therapeutic work had focused on developing specific techniques for maintaining emotional regulation during confrontational conversations, while ensuring that strategic communication objectives would be achieved despite potential emotional manipulation or defensive responses from Michael. These techniques provided practical tools for managing immediate confrontation requirements while maintaining long-term strategic positioning. Scenario planning had included detailed preparation for various potential responses that Michael might attempt when confronted with evidence of his infidelity, ranging from denial and counter-accusation to emotional manipulation and desperate attempts at reconciliation. This preparation enabled strategic responses rather than reactive emotional engagement that could compromise communication effectiveness. The development of personal strength affirmations and confidence-building exercises had created psychological foundations for approaching confrontation as an empowered individual presenting evidence rather than as a victim, seeking explanations or attempting to salvage a relationship that had already been destroyed through deception and betrayal. Stress management protocols had been refined to address the specific physiological and emotional demands of confrontational conversations, while ensuring that physical health and cognitive function would be maintained throughout challenging interactions that could extend over multiple sessions or time periods. Analysis of behavioral patterns and surveillance intelligence had enabled identification of optimal timing factors for confrontation that would maximize strategic advantages while minimizing opportunities for defensive preparation or evidence concealment by Michael once he became aware of my knowledge regarding his infidelity. This timing optimization required coordinating multiple factors including legal preparation, evidence security, and practical considerations for managing immediate consequences. The identification of trigger events that would necessitate immediate confrontation regardless of optimal timing preferences had enabled contingency planning for scenarios where strategic timing might be compromised by external factors beyond my control. These contingency plans ensured readiness for effective confrontation regardless of specific circumstances that might precipitate revelation timing. Calendar coordination had addressed practical considerations including work schedules, travel commitments, and family obligations that could affect availability for managing extended conversations and immediate consequences of confrontation. This scheduling consideration ensured that confrontation could be managed effectively without compromising other important obligations or responsibilities. Legal timing had been coordinated with attorney availability and court schedules to ensure that formal proceedings could be initiated immediately following confrontation if necessary, to protect interests or respond to potential retaliatory actions that Michael might attempt once divorce became inevitable. The preparation of physical evidence organization and presentation materials had enabled immediate access to comprehensive documentation that would be required for effective confrontation, while ensuring that all materials were secured against potential destruction or concealment attempts that might be attempted during volatile confrontational periods. The systematic preparation across all relevant domains had created unprecedented readiness for confrontation that represented complete transformation from uncertain spouse discovering suspicious behavior to strategically positioned individual prepared for independent success, regardless of specific confrontational outcomes. This preparation represented personal growth that extended far beyond immediate crisis management to include capabilities and confidence that would support long-term empowerment and independence. The convergence of evidence documentation, legal preparation, financial protection, psychological resilience, and strategic positioning had created optimal conditions for confrontation that would demonstrate the power of systematic planning and professional preparation for achieving favorable outcomes when facing apparently devastating personal circumstances. Understanding that Michael and Harmony Rivers had progressed beyond casual involvement to serious commitment that would require resolving marital complications within predictable timeframes, provided confidence that confrontation was approaching based on their timeline rather than my strategic preferences. This knowledge enabled final preparation activities while maintaining strategic patience for optimal revelation timing. The transformation from potential victim to empowered individual had created psychological and practical foundations for approaching inevitable confrontation with confidence rather than fear, while understanding that systematic preparation had positioned me for success regardless of specific tactical responses that Michael might attempt during confrontational conversations. The stage had been completely established for confrontation that would reveal not devastation and betrayal, but rather the triumph of strategic thinking and systematic preparation over deception and manipulation, demonstrating that personal crisis could be transformed into opportunity for unprecedented empowerment and independence through professional competence and strategic planning. The systematic intelligence gathering conducted over several months had reached a critical convergence point, where all available evidence confirmed that Michael and Harmony Rivers had committed to a timeline requiring immediate resolution of marital complications through formal separation proceedings. Professional surveillance had documented apartment lease signings, furniture purchases, and residential utility transfers that established their cohabitation timeline within the following 30 days. Creating unavoidable pressure for confrontation regardless of strategic preferences regarding optimal timing. The financial intelligence component had revealed that Michael had submitted formal requests for salary direct deposit modifications that would redirect his entire paycheck to the joint account he shared with Harmony Rivers, eliminating any financial commitment to our household expenses beginning with the next payroll cycle. This financial transition provided concrete evidence of his intention to abandon our marriage, while creating immediate practical necessities for legal intervention to protect marital assets from unauthorized redirection. Communication analysis had documented detailed discussions between Michael and Harmony regarding their preferred method for informing me about their relationship status and living arrangements. These conversations revealed their intention to present their decision as inevitable, while minimizing their responsibility for the deception and betrayal that had characterized their relationship development. Understanding their communication strategy enabled preparation of responses that would control conversation direction, while presenting evidence that would eliminate opportunities for defensive manipulation. The comprehensive nature of available evidence had created strategic positioning that exceeded initial expectations for documentation quality and legal admissibility, while providing overwhelming support for achieving favorable outcomes during divorce proceedings. Legal consultation confirmed that the strength of available evidence would enable negotiation from a position of exceptional advantage, while creating strong incentives for Michael to pursue settlement rather than contentious litigation that would expose his deceptive behavior to public scrutiny. Professional assessment of psychological readiness had confirmed that the preparation phase had successfully developed emotional resilience and strategic thinking capabilities that would enable effective management of confrontational interactions while maintaining focus on long-term objectives rather than immediate emotional reactions to betrayal and deception revelations. The approaching confrontation timeline required immediate implementation of final asset protection measures that would ensure financial security during divorce proceedings, while preventing unauthorized access to marital resources that Michael might attempt to redirect toward his new living arrangements with Harmony Rivers. These protective measures represented the culmination of months of strategic financial planning, guided by professional advisory services experienced with complex divorce cases. The establishment of secured individual banking relationships had provided guaranteed access to financial resources, independent of joint account restrictions, that would inevitably be implemented once divorce proceedings commenced formally. These arrangements ensured liquidity for legal representation expenses and living costs during transitional periods, while maintaining compliance with legal disclosure requirements that would govern formal asset division calculations. Investment portfolio protection had involved strategic repositioning of assets within legal frameworks that would preserve wealth accumulation achieved through years of professional advancement, while ensuring appropriate documentation for divorce proceedings. Professional financial management had confirmed that these protective measures would maximize post-divorce financial security while maintaining ethical compliance with legal requirements for asset disclosure and division. The coordination of insurance coverage modifications had addressed potential vulnerabilities that could arise if Michael attempted to terminate shared health insurance, life insurance, or property insurance policies as retaliatory measures during divorce proceedings. Independent coverage arrangements provided protection against financial manipulation, while ensuring continuity of essential insurance protection, regardless of marital status changes. Credit protection measures had been implemented to prevent potential damage to individual credit ratings through joint financial obligations or retaliatory actions that Michael might attempt once he became aware of divorce proceedings. Professional credit monitoring services provided ongoing protection while ensuring that post-divorce financial opportunities would not be compromised through credit damage during marriage dissolution. The finalization of legal strategy required coordination between comprehensive evidence documentation and optimal presentation techniques that would achieve maximum effectiveness during formal proceedings while maintaining strategic advantages throughout extended legal processes. Legal consultation had confirmed that the quality and quantity of available evidence provided exceptional leverage for negotiation while creating strong incentives for rapid resolution through favorable settlement terms. Evidence organization had been refined to enable efficient presentation during legal proceedings, while ensuring that the overwhelming nature of documentation supporting infidelity claims would be immediately apparent to opposing counsel and judicial authorities. This presentation strategy emphasized the systematic nature of deception, while highlighting the extensive financial resources that Michael had devoted to developing his relationship with Harmony Rivers, at the expense of marital obligations. Settlement negotiation strategy had been developed based on realistic assessment of optimal outcomes achievable through the exceptional strength of available evidence, while considering Michael's likely preferences for avoiding public disclosure of his deceptive behavior during trial proceedings. This strategy positioned comprehensive evidence as leverage for achieving favorable financial terms while minimizing the duration and emotional costs of extended legal processes. Contingency planning had addressed potential defensive strategies that Michael and his legal representation might attempt to implement once they became aware of the extent of evidence documenting his infidelity and financial deception. These contingency plans ensured maintenance of strategic advantages while preventing attempts to minimize the significance of documented deceptive behavior through counteraccusations or diversionary tactics. The coordination of legal timing with confrontation planning ensured that formal proceedings could be initiated immediately following revelation of evidence if necessary to protect interests or respond to potential retaliatory actions that Michael might attempt once divorce became inevitable. This timing coordination provided maximum strategic control over proceedings while preventing opportunities for defensive preparation or evidence concealment. Understanding that personal circumstances during divorce proceedings could potentially impact professional standing and career advancement opportunities required comprehensive strategies for maintaining workplace relationships and performance standards, while managing the additional demands of legal processes and emotional adjustment to significant life changes. This professional management ensured that career interests would be protected while personal circumstances were resolved through appropriate legal channels. Communication protocols with supervisors and key colleagues had been refined to provide appropriate information about potential schedule adjustments and personal circumstances, without revealing details that could attract unwanted attention or speculation about private matters. This communication approach maintained professional boundaries while ensuring that necessary accommodations could be implemented without compromising work quality or team effectiveness during challenging transitional periods. Performance management systems had been established to maintain productivity standards and deadline compliance despite the additional demands of legal proceedings and emotional processing of relationship dissolution. These systems included backup plans for critical work responsibilities and delegation strategies that would ensure professional obligations would be fulfilled, regardless of personal circumstances requiring immediate attention. Professional support networks within workplace environments had been cultivated to provide perspective and assistance during challenging periods, while maintaining appropriate discretion about personal circumstances that were not relevant to workplace activities. This professional support complemented personal support networks while respecting organizational boundaries and professional relationship requirements. Career advancement planning had been adjusted to consider how divorce proceedings might impact travel availability, relocation flexibility, and time commitment for expanded responsibilities that could be offered during this transitional period. Strategic planning for these potential opportunities ensured that personal circumstances would not eliminate career advancement possibilities, while recognizing realistic limitations that might apply during legal proceedings. The approaching confrontation required final optimization of psychological preparation techniques that would enable effective management of emotionally challenging conversations while maintaining strategic focus on long-term objectives, rather than immediate emotional reactions to betrayal revelations. This psychological preparation represented the culmination of therapeutic work designed to create sustainable emotional foundations for managing complex personal transitions successfully. Advanced therapeutic techniques had been refined to address specific challenges associated with confronting detailed evidence of betrayal, while presenting complex information in emotionally charged situations that could trigger defensive responses or manipulative countertactics from Michael. These techniques provided practical tools for maintaining communication effectiveness while processing emotional content that could potentially compromise strategic positioning. Emotional regulation strategies had been developed specifically for managing physiological stress responses during confrontational conversations, while ensuring that cognitive function and decision-making capabilities would remain optimal throughout challenging interactions that could extend over multiple sessions or time periods. These strategies addressed both immediate confrontation requirements and sustained management of extended legal processes. Personal empowerment affirmations had been refined to reinforce understanding of individual worth and capabilities that existed independently of marriage outcomes, while building confidence in decision-making abilities that would be essential for creating fulfilling post-divorce life circumstances. This psychological foundation provided strength for facing confrontational situations while maintaining focus on positive future possibilities rather than past disappointments. Stress management protocols had been optimized to address the specific demands of confrontational interactions and legal proceedings, while maintaining physical health and emotional stability throughout challenging circumstances that could impact multiple aspects of daily life simultaneously. These protocols ensured sustainable functioning during extended periods of elevated stress and emotional demand. The approaching confrontation required final refinement of communication strategies that would achieve specific objectives during potentially volatile conversations, while maintaining strategic advantages and preventing defensive responses that could complicate evidence presentation or enable Michael to implement damage control measures. This communication planning addressed various potential scenarios while ensuring consistent messaging regardless of specific tactical responses he might attempt. Primary message development for initial confrontation had been refined to maintain control of conversation direction, while preventing emotional manipulation or defensive diversions that could compromise evidence presentation effectiveness. This communication strategy emphasized factual evidence presentation, while avoiding emotional engagement that could enable manipulation or counter-accusation strategies designed to deflect responsibility for deceptive behavior. Contingency messaging had been prepared for various emotional responses and defensive tactics that Michael might attempt during initial confrontation, including denial, counter-accusation, emotional manipulation, or desperate attempts at reconciliation. These contingency messages ensured strategic responses rather than reactive emotional engagement that could compromise communication effectiveness or strategic positioning. Documentation protocols for confrontational conversations had been established to ensure that significant statements and admissions would be recorded appropriately for potential use during legal proceedings, while maintaining compliance with legal requirements for conversation recording and evidence preservation. This documentation approach provided additional evidence while protecting against potential misrepresentation of conversation content. Follow-up communication strategies had been developed for managing ongoing interactions with Michael during legal proceedings, while maintaining appropriate boundaries and protecting strategic advantages throughout extended processes that could involve multiple negotiation sessions and formal legal interactions. The comprehensive evidence documentation required final security measures and presentation preparation that would ensure optimal effectiveness during confrontational conversations and legal proceedings, while protecting against potential destruction or concealment attempts that might be attempted once Michael became aware of the extent of available documentation. This evidence management represented the culmination of systematic investigation and documentation efforts that had produced unprecedented quality and quantity of supporting material. Evidence security protocols had been implemented to ensure that all documentation would remain accessible and legally admissible, regardless of potential retaliatory actions or attempts at evidence suppression that Michael might consider once confrontation revealed the extent of available evidence. These security measures included multiple backup systems and professional storage arrangements that provided protection against loss or damage. Presentation materials had been organized for immediate access during confrontational conversations, while ensuring that complex information could be communicated effectively despite potential emotional volatility or defensive responses that might complicate evidence presentation timing and methodology. This organization enabled strategic evidence revelation that would maintain control of conversation progression while achieving maximum impact. Legal admissibility verification had confirmed that all evidence documentation met appropriate standards for formal legal proceedings, while ensuring that presentation methods would satisfy judicial requirements for evidence authentication and chain of custody documentation. This verification provided confidence that evidence would be effective during formal proceedings, regardless of specific legal strategies that opposing counsel might attempt. Backup documentation systems had been established to ensure that evidence would remain available and accessible throughout extended legal proceedings, while protecting against potential technology failures or deliberate interference that could compromise access during critical phases of case presentation and negotiation processes. The systematic preparation across all relevant domains had created unprecedented readiness for confrontation that represented complete transformation from uncertain spouse discovering suspicious behavior to strategically positioned individual prepared for independent success, regardless of specific confrontational outcomes. This preparation represented personal growth and professional competence application that would provide sustainable advantages throughout challenging circumstances while creating foundations for long-term empowerment and independence. The convergence of evidence documentation, legal strategy, financial protection, psychological resilience, professional reputation management, and strategic communication planning had created optimal conditions for confrontation that would demonstrate the power of systematic thinking and comprehensive preparation for achieving favorable outcomes when facing apparently devastating personal circumstances. This convergence represented the successful application of professional capabilities to personal challenges while maintaining ethical standards and legal compliance throughout all preparation activities. Understanding that Michael and Harmony Rivers had committed to timelines that would necessitate confrontation within immediate timeframes provided confidence that the preparation phase had been completed successfully, while ensuring that strategic advantages would be maximized regardless of specific circumstances that might precipitate final revelation of evidence and initiation of formal divorce proceedings. The transformation from potential victim to empowered individual had created psychological and practical foundations for approaching inevitable confrontation with confidence rather than fear, while understanding that systematic preparation had positioned all elements for success regardless of specific tactical responses that Michael might attempt during confrontational conversations or legal proceedings. The comprehensive preparation had established complete readiness for the confrontation that would soon transform apparent personal crisis into demonstration of strategic thinking, triumph over deception and manipulation, proving that professional competence and systematic planning could create empowerment and independence from circumstances that initially appeared devastating but ultimately provided opportunities for unprecedented personal growth and strength development. The comprehensive preparation phase had reached completion during a week that maintained all external appearances of normal marital routine, while internal readiness for confrontation had achieved optimal strategic positioning across all relevant domains. The psychological transformation from uncertain spouse to strategically prepared individual had created a profound sense of calm determination that replaced the anxiety and emotional turmoil that had characterized earlier phases of discovery and investigation. Michael's behavior during this final week demonstrated increasing carelessness regarding concealment of his activities with Harmony Rivers, suggesting that their commitment to cohabitation timelines had reduced his concern about maintaining deceptive appearances within our marriage. His communications had become perfunctory and distracted, reflecting emotional disengagement that confirmed the relationship deterioration, while providing additional evidence of his psychological commitment to alternative arrangements. The routine dinner conversations and household interactions had acquired an almost surreal quality, where I possessed complete understanding of his actual activities and future intentions, while he remained confident that his deception continued successfully. This knowledge differential had eliminated any remaining emotional investment in salvaging our relationship, while reinforcing my strategic position through observational advantages that he could not recognize or counter. Professional obligations during this period had provided beneficial structure for maintaining normal routines, while ensuring that workplace performance remained consistent despite the additional demands of final preparation activities. The ability to compartmentalize personal circumstances while fulfilling professional responsibilities demonstrated the emotional resilience and practical competence that would prove essential during the challenging phases that lay immediately ahead. The systematic documentation efforts had captured Michael's final preparations for transitioning to cohabitation with Harmony Rivers, including furniture deliveries to their shared apartment, utility transfers, and financial arrangements that provided irrefutable evidence of premeditated abandonment of marital obligations. This documentation completed the comprehensive record of systematic deception, while establishing clear timelines for confrontation necessity. The convergence of intelligence regarding Michael and Harmony's timeline with optimal strategic considerations had identified the approaching weekend as the ideal period for initiating confrontation that would maximize advantages, while ensuring appropriate time availability for managing extended conversations and immediate practical consequences. This timing optimization balanced strategic preferences with practical requirements for effective crisis management. Legal coordination had confirmed attorney availability for immediate consultation and formal proceedings initiation, if circumstances required rapid legal intervention to protect interests or respond to potential retaliatory actions. This legal support provided confidence that professional assistance would be accessible, regardless of specific developments that might emerge during confrontational interactions with Michael. Financial preparation had ensured that all protective measures were actively implemented while maintaining compliance with legal disclosure requirements that would govern formal divorce proceedings. The establishment of independent banking relationships and asset security protocols provided guaranteed financial stability regardless of potential complications that might arise during marriage dissolution processes. Professional support networks had been alerted to potential schedule adjustments and availability requirements, without revealing specific details about personal circumstances that could compromise strategic positioning if information were inadvertently disclosed through workplace or social connections. This communication approach ensured professional accommodation while maintaining operational security for sensitive activities. The psychological preparation had achieved optimal emotional resilience and strategic thinking capability that would enable effective management of confrontational interactions while maintaining focus on long-term objectives rather than immediate emotional reactions to whatever defensive responses Michael might attempt when presented with comprehensive evidence of his deceptive behavior. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.